1988, when I first married Ron and began to help him with his work, he gave me my first assignment. He explained to me that he believed he knew who were the pharaohs during the events before, during, and after the Exodus. My job was to document his ideas with the information known from archaeologists and scholars. At first, I was confused when he told me the dynasty he believed ruled during the Exodus, because the scholars and archaeologists presented this long list of kings that extended far beyond the time period given in the biblical account. But then Ron told me something that changed everything. He explained that he believed many of the kings listed one right after the other were actually the same king in two different positions, both pharaohs, but one the emperor pharaoh and the other the co-regent pharaoh.
Well, based on all the information that we're able to gather to this point in time, this was Thutmose IV. However, after you, shall we say, get a firm grasp on Egyptian history, you'll find out that this fellow had 8 titles altogether. And we won't go into all of them, but one of them was Amenhotep III, Thutmose IV, and then he had other names that went along with this.
Perhaps the most exciting is to learn that the firstborn son of the pharaoh who died in the Red Sea was the young Tutankhamun, King Tut.
Up until very recently, they have said they have no idea why he died. It seemed to be an insect bite on one of his cheeks, side of his face. But here, since we have released this information, they are now saying that there's evidence that he was killed by a blow to the base of the skull. Well, when they excavated Tut, in their eagerness to get all of the jewelry off of him, they broke his neck, removed the head from the skeleton so they could get all these necklaces and things off. That is what created the trauma that they're now showing and saying was the cause of his death. Again, it's one of Satan's methods of trying to confuse the issue.
The evidence from his tomb makes it more than evident that something completely out of the ordinary happened when he died. His tomb was certainly not constructed for a royal person, much less a king. The major items in his tomb were not made for him because the name on his coffins and other items had been changed. His mummy was completely carbonized because whoever performed his mummification process performed it quickly, most likely on site, just before his burial. The cornflowers around his neck only bloom in March and April, the exact time of the very first Passover. Battle for the Firstborn sheds new light on the biblical account and never contradicts anything in Scripture. It introduces you to the Pharaoh who enslaved the Israelites and why this happened. You'll meet Pharaoh's daughter who rescued Moses and why she was not able to bring him to live in the palace until he was 12 years old. You'll learn of the amazing person in ancient Egyptian history who was Moses.
We can tell from our research is that there was a person who had the name of Sinemut that fits all of the Bible information about Moses, his growing up and being, and especially since it wasn't often that the king had an unmarried daughter. Usually they were married off quite early. In fact, usually as children. But we had a Pharaoh's daughter there by the name of Hatshepsut that apparently was not married or betrothed to anybody, and so we believe that it was this Sinemut.
It didn't take long for me to discover that most, perhaps 95% of scholars, even biblical scholars, don't believe the Exodus was a real event. Of those that do, many of them believe it didn't occur as stated in the biblical account, but instead was a slow migration. The only pure data I could obtain came from original excavation records, because after that, the scholars presented their interpretations as fact. Interpretations of evidence never changed, even when new data shed new light that needed to be examined. Also, new interpretations, in order to be accepted, have to be peer-reviewed, which means it has to be submitted to the same group of people who are held to be the experts, the same people who espouse the original data interpretation. 32 years after I first began work on this subject, I completed the book Battle for the Firstborn, which presents Ron's evidences of people and events which led up to the Exodus, beginning with Abraham, then Joseph, and the children of Israel coming to Egypt. It ends with the exciting evidence at Jericho. It provides evidence of the Exodus exactly as presented in the Bible. It shines great light on the battle with darkness. The prince of this earth has done a great amount of damage by causing many people to doubt the complete accuracy of the Bible, but God did not leave us in the dark. My promise to Ron, when he knew he was about to die, was that I would make this research known. It was the hardest work I ever did, not being a writer or a scholar. But Ron and I both were of the belief that our Creator did not make his truth dependent upon evolutionist scholars and historians to tell us what is truth. The facts speak for themselves. Battle for the Firstborn can be ordered at ronwyatt.com. Just click on the picture of the book on the main page and you can order. It is also available in Kindle on Amazon. Amazon also sells the book, but if you purchase from ronwyatt.com, you are helping us to be able to continue our website and our work. I thank you all for your interest in Ron's work. There is more to come.